Hi there, my name is Amanda Newell, and this is the final exam for wildlife behavior. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about our guest lecture on invasive species. So there are three classifications of species. Native, these are animals that are found in the area where they evolved. They have very specific habitats and very specific niches. They also have natural predators. Non-native is any species that does not naturally occur in an area. And then kind of a subclass of non-native is the non-native invasive species. Non-native invasive species, it's causing harm to an ecosystem. They have few natural predators. They don't have many competitors or diseases, any kind of parasites. They'll have high reproductive rates. They're tolerant to many different environments. They're generalists and mainly pioneer species. So you can see behind on this slide there are several of the most common invasive species. The zebra mussels, wild boar, species such as those. One specific invasive species example is the lionfish, specifically two subspecies of the lionfish. The native habitat of these species are coral reefs and tropical waters of the South Pacific and Indian Ocean. There hasn't been much research done on their natural predators, but scientists do think that their natural predators include the larger animals in their ecosystem, such as grouper, snapper, eel, and shark. They are currently invasive in the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico, and moving down onto the South American side of the Atlantic. The impacts they're having on these ecosystems, the lionfish are fish eater. A single lionfish can reduce the native fish population by 79% in a small reef ecosystem. They also consume the prey of native species who are fish eaters. They consume many herbivores that'll keep reef algae in check, which disrupts the balance of the reef. Like many invasive species, they don't have any real predators in this area. They're actually poisonous. The spines on their fins are poisonous. There has been efforts in these areas to hunt the lionfish. You can actually get paid a good amount of money in the Keys for lionfish hunting, and there's been a push to try to come up with good ways to cook them. So hopefully we could maybe keep that population in check, but they do reproduce at quite a rapid rate. So they are going to be a large issue in the Caribbean here very shortly. This is a really good map of their range. So there's two main species that are invasive. Their native territories for one species is here in the blue. The second is here in the green. The blue species actually moved through the Suez Canal, and you're starting to see them up in this area, kind of towards the Mediterranean Sea. The second species you're seeing right here around America, going all the way up the Atlantic coast, and then you're starting to see it move down in South America. Scientists believe that the fish were introduced to the area off the coast of Florida after reef hobbyists released them from their home aquariums into the ocean. Next, I'm going to talk about the guest presenter we had on chimpanzee behavior. She talked a little bit about different hormone levels with chimpanzees in different scenarios. So first she talked about territory boundary patrols. It was found that both before and after patrols there are elevated levels of testosterone and cortisol. When the chimpanzees were hunting, there was no testosterone increase before hunts, and actually testosterone decreased after hunts. after hunts, some animals were seen sharing. Testosterone levels decreased when they were engaging in this behavior. Something I found interesting about this presentation was that chimpanzees do actually patrol their borders. I don't know much about the species. I didn't actually know this was a behavior that they did. They'll patrol these borders looking for other chimpanzees. If they were to come across another chimpanzee, they would attack and kill the neighboring male. So that explains the elevated levels of testosterone during these activities. Next, I'm going to talk about the great spotted cuckoo, another cuckoo species that uses other birds' nests to raise young. These birds are found in semi-arid habitats. They like open woodlands, rocky hillsides, the dry savanna areas, very open spaces. They're common in Southwest Europe, Asia Minor, and Africa. They also winter mainly in Africa and sometimes in Spain. So their host species are corvids, so your crows, ravens, your magpies. They especially use the magpies. Some unique adaptations for this behavior. The cuckoo's eggs are similar in size and color to the magpie eggs, so they are kind of difficult to differentiate. And then the cuckoo will lay 12 to 25 eggs per season in multiple nests. There might be a few eggs per nest, but they are visiting multiple nests. One of the most interesting articles I came across was the cuckoo young secrete a substance that actually deters parasites, deters predators from the nests where they're being reared. So this is a potential defensive mechanism, and it explains why there is a higher fledgling success rate in these parasitized nests during breeding seasons with high predation risk. So although the cuckoo is taking advantage of these nests, there might be a chance that those corvid young will survive better if there is a cuckoo in the nest. This is a very stable species. There's not much going into conservation of them at the moment. Here's a couple papers. Well, one paper, the one that talked a little bit more about those secretions, and then just a general page of information on the spotted cuckoo. So, temperature-dependent sex determination. This occurs in most reptiles. Some fish is seen in all the crocodilians, most turtles, many fish, and some lizard species. This occurs when sex is determined based on the temperature that eggs are developed under. So this was tested in this little turtle over here called the painted turtle, as what it's more commonly known as. The researchers wanted to know if nesting behavior can compensate for potential skews in sex ratios caused by rapid climate change. Is there anything that these animals can do to compensate for climate change? Since they are such a slow evolving creature, there needs to be a more immediate reaction in order to protect the species. So in order to do that, researchers collected females from 5 population across the species range, and they held them in a semi-natural common garden. Population differed in nesting phenology, likely due to frequency. They varied in nest depth. This is possibly due to the female body size, but the one thing they did not differ in was the choice of the shade over the nest. Their regime and the resultant ratios in the sexes. So this suggests that there is some behavior that turtles and temperature-dependent sex species can engage in order to skew sexes one way or another. They are able to compensate by the locations that they choose, the shade cover, to possibly help with the impact of a changing climate. And here's a citation at the bottom if you want to read a little bit more on that study. And then finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about parental care. Most of the time, the females of the species are more in charge of parental care, but there are some examples where males are more involved. One of these species is the super cute bat-eared fox. They are common in Ethiopia and South Africa. They are found in grasslands and savannas, mainly areas where there's very short grass. It's a monogamous species, so the male is going to participate in guarding, grooming, and playing with the young as much, sometimes even more than the mother when the mother is out, since the mother does hunt to provide for the family. So this is opposite of other canid species. Most of the time, the mother is with the young while the father is out hunting. So this is a unique example, especially an example in a mammal population. So very interesting. So that is everything for this final. Thank you so much for this class. I enjoyed it. Thank you.